If I said McLeod's daughters, I think you'd just immediately think of Michala Banas. I do. I think there was other people on it. I know there was other people on it, but she's the one everyone remembers from it. And she's the one we've got on today. But did you know Michala Banas is one of only a few intimacy coordinators in this country? We talk about that. I think you're going to really like this. I mean, I say this every week. You're really going to like this conversation. But I think you really will. She's a great storyteller. And she's so open and vulnerable. Like, she talked about things that I don't know if she's ever talked about publicly. She also has a father in the industry that blew my mind. I hope you enjoy listening to this as much as I enjoyed recording this. What a beautiful, beautiful human. Let me know what you think. Here is Michala Banas. Hi, welcome.
Hi.
I am kissing your mouth. You're kissing the wind.
Bye, I'm out of here. I think that's what that's supposed to mean. I didn't write it.
Can we please just start? You're kissing my mouth. Kissing. Is that a song about farting?
Yeah.
Sucking farts?
Yeah, I'm a massive fart sucker.
So am I.
Everyone knows it.
Who isn't? Suck a
Yeah,
fart.
mad for it.
Bring that back.
It's
Suck a
not
fart.
about sucking farts. I didn't write it. Meredith Brooks wrote that
Did
song.
she?
Yes.
Holy shit.
Right.
It sounds Meredith Brooksy.
Yeah, it's got Meredith Brooks all over it. It's about like, yeah, it's on and then I'm out of here. It's,
Yeah.
kissing the wind. I'm off.
And you're naked a lot in that film
Yeah.
clip.
I mean, I was in my 20s. You've got to get your kid off in your 20s.
Can I just say, though, I think you are more beautiful today
Same.
than you were then. And you were beautiful then. That's
Thank
so
you.
good. Good that you
That's
know that
very
how
kind.
beautiful you are. Like, because you've let yourself really be natural as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
And
You're looking at all the greys happening over here.
And not straightening your hair and, all of that
Yeah.
stuff. It makes a huge difference in a woman when you let them be wild.
I found this really beautiful hairdresser and he's really just helping me embrace what I have. Because I think I want to fringe again because I'm getting all these wrinkles and I just, And he's like, no, your hair doesn't go that way. You're making your hair do something it doesn't want to naturally do. Your hair is up and big and curly and I had shaved half of it off at that point, which I still have half of it missing. So all of this is half of my hair.
Oh, my God,
because
that's only half.
I gave myself an undercut because I wanted
hot.
one in the 90s and my parents wouldn't let me. Long story.
Oh,
Anyway,
my God,
I did it in my 40s.
would do that too. I would do that now. I don't
It's
have enough
so
hair to
fun.
do that, but if I
loved
did,
it.
I would. Yeah.
I loved it.
Do it
anyway,
again then.
Gorgeous Tim was like, do your thing, let your hair be what it is, and talk to me about how it changes as it greys and as you go through menopause and all this other stuff, because the texture of your hair changes as you change.
Yes,
And
doesn't
I
it?
get more compliments on my hair now than I ever have in my life. And I told him that the other day and he said, it's because you're being authentic. Yeah. And he said, people love authenticity.
Yeah, they do.
And I thought, that's
It
so
reeks,
true.
doesn't it? It reeks.
Yeah.
And the opposite reeks as well. Inauthenticity reeks. And,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter whether it's friendships, relationships or anything, acting or performing.
Yeah.
If you're not authentic, then people can tell.
Yeah. I think I've gone through this sort of shift in the last sort of 4 or 5 years where I've just gone, who do I want to be?
Yeah, who am I?
How do I want to present myself to the world? Because on some level I do present myself to the world in some ways. And what am I saying to younger women, older women? What am I saying to myself?
Yeah.
And I honestly don't judge people for dyeing their hair, using Botox if that's do what you want.
But know why you want to do it.
But know you want to do it. I tried Botox. I did do it. And I looked fabulous.
Yeah.
Because I'm a real frowner.
Yeah.
I did it in my frown line and it looked great. But what happened for me was other bits started moving in weird ways. And I went, that's crinkling in a weird way now. Oh, maybe and I went, this is what happens. Then you put a bit there, then you put a bit there, and the slippery slope. And I went,
exactly.
I don't know that I want to keep doing that. And then a friend of mine was unwell and she said, please don't put that shit in your face. And so I said I wouldn't, and so I don't. But, I'm not saying that aging is easy. It's confronting and it's challenging, and especially when you see your face on a screen all the time and things like that. It is confronting, but also all the actors that I love and admire, Frances McDormand, Judi Dench, I'm like, these are faces that
faces.
move,
Yes.
and my face moves a lot.
Yes.
And that's my niche.
Frances
I think.
McDormand is and Jodie Foster, it's so beautiful to see these women on screen. I think the more you watch them, and for an actor, it's incredibly important to be able to move your face.
But listen, there are some brilliant actors that have had work done and Botox and things like that and can't move their faces in the way they used to, and they're still wonderful actors.
Still great actors.
But for me,
yes,
I feel more myself, I guess. I feel like, when I had it, I was like very conscious that I couldn't move that part of my face.
Me too.
And while I looked good,
yes,
I suppose aesthetically,
Yeah.
it felt odd. And so for me, it wasn't, just wasn't.
I was the
way
same.
to go.
I got rid of my Botox and quite recently, like maybe 2 years ago.
Wow,
and
yeah.
I'm really embracing being able to.
But you haven't got a line on your face.
Well, I think I had it for a good 8 years.
Right.
So I really have retarded that muscle.
Got you.
So I think in another 2 years there'll be lines.
Yeah.
Because I keep moving my face now again.
Yeah.
But I'm loving it and choosing to go into the acting world. I thought because I remember seeing myself in the jungle, no makeup.
Yeah.
I had no movement in my forehead and I'd had a slight eyebrow lift.
Yep.
And it just stayed like that the whole time.
Yeah.
So I think I have such strong face anyway. So I was making expression,
Such a
but
good
it
face.
wasn't the same
It's
expression.
delicious, your face.
Thank you so much.
Best face.
All my life I've been told you have the most expressionful face. And I thought, why am I
Yeah.
why am I getting rid of that? I think a sprinkling, if you've got lines, make a huge difference. It's finding that person, for me, to do the sprinkling well, because a lot of them can't do the sprinkling. They heavy hand to sprinkle. And it's like, what can you do? 2 weeks later, all of a sudden, you're like, well, that's not a sprinkling.
Yeah.
I'm frozen again.
And
now I've got to wait, however long, depends on what your body gets rid of.
I know. That's the only thing.
And I think it's good to be us and show the younger women as well that, you can be both.
I think that's really happening too. I think, people rag on younger people. I'm so excited I meet so many extraordinary, amazing young human beings. Like I feel very excited that the world is going to be in good hands. Do you know what I mean?
Me too.
And
people like Rachael give me hope.
Yeah. I think everyone's really embracing their authenticity more and more now. And that's really exciting.
Well, and your trends go up and down.
Yeah.
So, of course, that's going to be a huge thing. And, we swing, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
So you're in menopause? You got
peri? I'm peri chicken, I'm called at my house.
Yeah.
Peri chicken.
How is it?
Listen, this morning, I was plucking my eyebrows because I thought I've got to be presentable. And so I plucked my eyebrows and found a grey eyebrow.
Oh, yeah.
And then I covered up a pimple. And I thought, well, if this isn't perimenopause, I don't know what is.
Yeah, no, that's your hormones are going back to teens and worse. It's weird because testosterone is what really gives you the hair, and yet, we're kind of losing all of our hormones, but growing the hair. I think it's there for a reason.
Yeah.
And, the belly fat, the facial hair, the hair in other places as well, we're supposed to have it so it protects us, I guess.
For sure. But also we weren't supposed to live this long, really.
Exactly.
Either. So there's this whole world of going, your body's going through a transition. Normally, back in the old days, it would have just died. I'm like, that would be preferable some days.
Menopause was the
Not
precursor to death.
Yeah.
You were about to die.
Yeah.
You knew. So there was no... And we've been living till 80
now,
and 90.
we're only halfway through, not even.
We've been that way for quite a while now, and they still haven't figured out what to do with us.
We're half the population, though. You have to care. And people are talking about it more. I like to talk about it because I'm interested in hearing other people's experiences. And that's the thing. I think there's a lack of education in our medical system. And I'm not judging that. I think it's just there's a lot for them to consistently have to educate themselves about.
Yeah, my own GP said to me, Yvie, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know a lot about this, but I'm really keen to learn with you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because he's so open to it. Because I asked him for testosterone cream.
Right.
Because those 4 symptoms of low testosterone are low libido, tick, really bad brain fog, tick, rage, demons, where you want to kill someone.
Yeah.
You really do. You're looking at them and you're inside going, I could put my hand through your face right now.
It's an awful feeling.
It's an awful feeling.
Uncontrollable.
Awful feeling. And weakness in bones and strength. So I looked at the menopause doctor, and we had her on here, Dr. Louise Newson. She's the specialist in the world. She was the one that put me onto the testosterone for women.
Wow. Okay.
And it's a cream. And she said she's
Face
doing
cream,
it.
body cream, what's the
body?
vibe?
It's just a
Chuck it
little.
all over yourself.
It's a tiny
And I
little
rolled
bit.
around in a tub
You
of
can get
testosterone cream, and I
I
feel
know. Well, that's what I was
less
like.
rage.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe this is the missing link. Like I've got the
Yeah.
estrogen, I've got the progesterone. Maybe this is the other hormone that is leaving my body, and I need to replace. And she said she did it, and it made a huge difference. I did it, made a huge difference. So I was like, yes, like my brain fog is really decreased, but my strength is. I can open a can again.
That's awesome.
So you've gone from, because the last couple of things that I've seen you on, Gold Diggers, which you were brilliant in,
Fun.
and Mrs. Fisher's Murders on the big screen.
Oh boy. Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And
That's when you see your face on a big screen in all its glory and you're like, okay, that's happening. That's happening. Goodness. And it's happening.
And you have to really
10 times.
fight that ego, don't you? That
Absolutely, yeah.
vanity in you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And say,
It's
I'm
tough.
making art.
I'm not pretending that it's easy. It's confronting. And when your head is that big on a full-size cinema screen,
Do
you're like,
you
holy
always watch yourself?
Not always,
No.
but I do.
For self-critiquing, self-feedback, or just...
Well, once it's done, it's done. You know, I can't go back and fix it as much as I would like to with several of the projects I've worked on in my life. It's hard to know how things are going to turn out when you're in them and when you're doing them. And so sometimes I just want to see if it worked out the way I thought it was going to, because you often picture things in your mind. And
do you ever just watch it like we watch it and just enjoy how talented you are?
Far out. No, that's not really possible. Do you know what? I kind of... Probably the closest I've come to being able to do that is probably Upper Middle Bogan, because I really enjoyed watching that show.
Yes, such a great show.
But I can't really watch myself and go, well done you.
No, I do that to myself all the time.
Oh, there's definitely times where I go, I did
did well
okay there, or but I can't watch it like everyone else watches it, I guess. But I often just want to see how it's turned out. Is that weird?
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. I love watching myself back on TV, and my mum used to, not on TV, on anything. My mum used to love watching me watch myself on video, like video VHS,
That's so
VCR
cute.
ourselves.
Yeah.
And she'd just watch me because I go, watch this bit. I'm so funny. Like, and she'd be like,
Great.
I've never met anyone that that fans themselves as much as you. And I'm
That's
like,
great. You
"Is that a
should
bad
champion
thing?"
the
And she
shit out of
said,
yourself.
No, like I love it. So it's funny because I used to watch Gogglebox back and go, oh God, I'm great for this show.
You
Like,
are.
just
You were.
great
You're
for this
so
show.
great. You're perfect.
And it's good.
So watchable.
It's good because, other people like Angie would be sitting next to me and she'd be critiquing herself the whole time. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're great for this show too.
I know that some people will not watch themselves and some people critique themselves harshly. I think I just sort of go, oh, whatever, I'll have a look. So, there are shows I've done I have never seen, just probably because,
You didn't get a chance?
I didn't get a chance, and maybe it wasn't like a thing that I would
Wanted
watch,
to. Yeah.
I guess.
Yes.
If
Well,
that makes
and
sense.
that's important.
Like kids stuff,
Yeah.
for example. I've done some kids things that I'm like, oh, that was really fun, but I've never seen them. I don't have children.
Yes.
And my
Yes.
friends' kids go, oh, we watched you on. I go, how was it?
Yeah,
Was it good?
exactly. And you were you were on Round the Twist and Mirror Mirror and those kind of shows.
Yeah.
Early in your career.
Yeah. I did my first film when I was 5. My first movie when I
What
was
was
5.
the movie?
Get ready for the greatest title in history. Dangerous Orphans.
Oh
Guys,
no, were you a dangerous orphan?
I was not. It's a New Zealand. I'm from New Zealand, so
Yes.
it's a Kiwi film from the early 80s, and
It did well then.
I was not a strong child actor. This is one of the lines from the film, and this
she
is
still
exactly how I
remembers
said it. Teresa, come and look at this. Like, that's literally how bad of an actor I was as a kid. Awful.
brilliant. I
God
hope-
knows how I got the job, but I did. I auditioned for it. I got the gig. I remember my dad actually asking me if I wanted to do it, and I was 5. Good on my dad, He said, "Oh, they said they'd like you to be in the movie, and in this film, I get a gun pointed at my head. I get kidnapped. There's all sorts of really full-on stuff that happens in it.
Holy
It's a sort of
shit.
action drama thing.
And in the 80s, there wouldn't have been a lot of...
There was no care.
No.
We were in an old bus, and the old bus was wardrobe, costume, green room, everything. Unit. It was everything in one.
Everything in there.
Yeah, and we had to film on a beach in Wellington in winter. All that. No, the lady playing my mother, who I have actually reconnected with in recent years, so this is 30, 40 years later, is beautiful actor. And I remember her giving me vitamin C just to make sure I wasn't going to get a cold. Isn't that funny? The little things,
that
these
you
little
remember.
tiny snippets you remember.
Yeah.
But I do remember my dad saying to me, do you want to do it? And I was like, yes. Absolutely, like 100%.
And that would set
at
you on your
5, I
path?
knew, yeah. I grew up, my dad ran a theatre when I was a kid, so I grew up in the theatre. You know, they'd send me to kindy and I would cry until Dad came to get me. So however long it took, I was committed. And he would say, listen, she'll cry it out, just give her 3 hours one time. I just committed. And I had to ring him and say, just come and get your mental child. She's lost her tiny mind. But just scream and cry till he got me.
Yeah.
And then I'd get there and I'd just be colouring and drawing and they'd be rehearsing and I'd be side of stage.
But that's where you wanted to be.
Yeah, I just wanted to be around it. Now if I smell wood shavings, you know, sawdust, I go straight back to the workshop in Dad's theatre. Things like that, this sort of little smells and memories.
Smells are amazing. Smells and sounds, what they can do
I use smell
to
in
you.
my work all the time. I give all my characters different smells.
Of their odour?
Perfumes.
Wow, what a great idea.
Is that weird?
No, not at all.
So I did a play once several years ago where I was playing, I think it was about 6 different characters in the play, all different accents, different genders, all sorts. So
what was that play?
It's called Birdland.
Okay.
Amazing Simon Stevens play at MTC. And everyone laughed because it was like the David Jones perfume counter in my dressing room. But I would put it on the costumes because I'd go back and it's such an immediate.
Brilliant.
So I'd work it into my character creation and rehearsal process and in creating character. So I do it basically every show. Theatre specifically, television not so much, but it's great because it's such a quick thing, and there's so many different smells out there.
There's so many different smells. I remember there's one smell that reminds me of London. It's a deodorant, and there's another one that reminds me of the man I fell in love with in London. It's Jupe or Youp for me.
Yes.
An Impulse. What Impulse does to me as a teen.
Same.
Go straight back to teen years.
Yeah.
You've just become a citizen of Australia.
I have.
Congratulations.
In December.
Welcome.
Thank you. I've been here for 34 years.
How come you came over?
So we came for 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I when my parents broke up, I always lived with my father. I never lived with my mum, and they broke up when I was 4. So
Can I ask you why?
Yeah. Why they broke up?
No, why did you live with your dad?
It's really complicated, and probably I'll never really fully know because it wasn't my relationship. It was their relationship that broke down. But my understanding of it from the conversations I've been able to have, it's very difficult for my mum to have a conversation about because it's extremely traumatic and her biggest regret, I think. So
breaking up with your dad or not having you?
Not having her children with her. Yeah.
Wow.
3 children.
It would be hard on a mum.
Devastating. I think it's okay for me to say she would never recover from it. But we have a wonderful relationship and she's extraordinary. And we have a really wonderful relationship, which is awesome. But I think ultimately what happened was their relationship broke down for a bunch of reasons. Dad had work and Mum was a mum of 3 very young children and did not have any work. And her side of the family, well, both sides actually. My nana was in Housing Commission, so I grew up in Housing Commission, so there was no money. And Mum felt she wanted to remove herself from the house, not because of anything dangerous, but she wanted to be out of the relationship. And I think she had nowhere to go other than my grandma's very small Housing Commission place, and she didn't think it was fair or appropriate to take 3 children into that space. And so I think this is just what I've kind of garnered. I think what she thought she was going to do is get herself on her feet and then when she could, bring us in.
Yeah.
And what happened was, when you're poor and when you have nothing and come from nothing, it takes a lot to get to a space where you can
if you ever do.
Have something. And she ended up getting a 1-bedroom apartment, but she can't have 3 children in a 1-bedroom apartment was, I'm guessing, where her head was at. Also, she was heartbroken. Dad had quickly found somebody else who had moved in or was present a lot. And I think Mum felt like there was a family unit happening that she couldn't provide. Yeah, it's awful, isn't it? It's really very, very heartbreaking. And my dad was doing the best he could.
Yeah.
I think everyone does the best they can. I actually really believe that.
They do.
And I think Mum felt she couldn't provide what Dad could because she didn't have the means.
Yeah.
But I think a time passed and she slowly did get on her feet and she's She's extraordinary.
She's a dog lover.
She's a dog lover. She's one of us, babe. She's
She
one of
is.
us.
She is so one of us.
She's a dog lover. This woman in her late 60s decided she was going to start running. She wanted to run to the gate and back. And in her 70s has run, I think now, 3 or 4 full marathons.
Oh, my God.
She's won a gold medal at the World Masters Games as a marathon runner in her 70s. She's a powerhouse, man. She's amazing.
What's her
She's
name?
way smaller than me, Lorinda.
Oh.
She's way smaller than me. Like, I'm a little person.
And you're tiny.
She comes up to about here on me and she wears, like, kids' clothes. She's a little tiny pocket rocket.
Wow.
She's amazing. And she's
Amazing.
been extraordinary support through my life and my career and everything. She's the person I ring, you know. So considering I never really lived with her, we have a great relationship, and I think the world of her and she thinks the world of me and my brothers. You know, we're doing really great.
Absolutely.
And then so we came to Australia when I was 12,
Yeah.
so that had been quite a number of years. But we were still in the same country. But we came to Australia. Dad was directing at that point and directed.
So that was the 2 weeks coming out for it.
We came for 2 weeks for him to direct a miniseries, and then he immediately went on to a show called E Street that he directed and wrote and co-produced in the end.
I know that show so well.
Yeah, people love E Street. Yeah. So we just never left. We came for 2 weeks and we never left.
I want to talk about your husband.
Yes.
Because I adore him.
He's the best person.
And I'm so glad that you two have found each other.
8 years. Been together 8 years.
He is such a talent.
Yeah.
And such a beautiful soul. Like,
he is an extraordinary
really,
human being.
Yeah, he
He's the best
really
person
is.
I know. All we do is be idiots together.
Anything
It's just
that you guys
silly.
do together on social media, I just watch like on repeat. It just makes me laugh. I think there was Filters, the last one, where I was like, you were just cracking yourselves up. And it's like the joy.
During COVID, I don't know that we ever spoke to each other just like a normal people. We just interact. We're just always mucking around. And
How did you two get together?
oh, so we've known each other for 20-something years.
Well, yeah, you've both been in the industry for a really long time.
We were never close friends, but we've got, same circle of friends. So we've known each other, 25 years or something. Actually, when I met him, I was at a friend of mine's house and he'd popped over to drop something off or something. And my friend said, that was Toby. He is the best guy you'll ever meet. And I went, oh, yeah, cool, whatever, moving on. And then we would always catch up at a friend's birthday or at an opening night thing or, an event or whatever, and get on like a house on fire and dance. We would always dance together. But both of us mostly in relationships, and so it was never any more than, hey, how are you, and catch-ups. And we'd always go, we've really got to catch up, but never would. And I had been married before to a really lovely guy that didn't work out, and then I ran into Toby at a friend's 40th and was like, I got divorced. And he was like, okay. And I was like, blah, blah, blah. Just like telling him all about it. And he'd just broken up with someone like, well, life happens, la, 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 la. And then he sent me a message and said, I'm over on your side of town. Do you want to catch up? And I went, yeah, that'd be great. So we have a drink at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. At 11 p.m, I'm like, I should probably go home. Like, we were there for 6 hours. Just talked
and it just went like that.
And I didn't think it was a date. So I was just no A game, just everything
Yourself,
out on the table.
authentic.
Completely myself. And then a few days later, he sent me a message, and it was great to see you. And then I said, I'm going to this film festival. Do you want to come? And he was like, yeah. Still not thinking it was a date, though.
Okay.
And then we're in the middle of the movie, and I had this impulse to hold his hand, but I didn't do it. I was like, that was weird. That's all I thought. And then we chatted afterwards, and I remember he was catching the tram, and I remember dropping him at the tram, and he was like, all right, see you later. I was like, yep, cool, bye. But anyway, he came to see a show I was doing. I said, we're going out afterwards dancing. If you want to come out with all of us afterwards. He did. We made out on the dance floor like it was a blue light disco and we were 15.
So that was the first kiss on a dance floor.
Yes. Michael Jackson, The Way You Make Me Feel, baby.
It's one of my favourite songs.
Terrible.
Oh, my.
Like, it was like a full blue light. It was
Yes.
hilarious.
And did he finger you in the corner
No,
later?
he didn't finger me in the corner. That happened
sure.
later
Yeah,
in the
good,
privacy
good.
of our own home. This isn't the 90s, babe. Anyway, That was it, and that was it.
And that was it.
Yeah, he initially was a bit like, oh, I'm going to America for a while and I don't know. And I was like, listen, you either want to be with me or you don't.
Yeah, yeah.
I just asked him for what I wanted, which I had never done before, because after my marriage broke down, I went and sorted all my shit out and got some therapy, everybody.
Yeah,
and I was
yourself.
like, hallelujah, it's okay to ask for what you want. It's actually okay to put yourself first. That doesn't mean you are a selfish person.
Exactly.
It actually means you're a better friend and a better child and a better
everything.
sister and a better person in a relationship.
You had a beautiful wedding.
Yeah, we eloped.
Eloped.
It was just
And
the
it was
two of us
so
under
beautiful.
a tree. Yeah.
And I love it. There's just such beautiful photos.
Do you know what? A really close girlfriend of mine, that was her wedding gift. We weren't even going to have a photographer, nothing. It was just going to be the two of us under this tree in Central Park.
So glad that she did that.
So am I. It was such a beautiful gift because the photos are
so beautiful,
just gorgeous, and it was magical. And we just made up our vows on the spot and just said shit to each other in the moment.
All you do is authentic.
No, but you know what?
realised.
Do you know what it is, I think, though, Yvie? Like, a big part of my life is presentational. A big part of my life is getting glammed up and having a moment on the red carpet in the dress and thing. And that's awesome, and I love it. But I think for most people, the wedding is their big moment to do that stuff, to get dressed up, feel special, have them. But for
You're
us,
the opposite.
Yeah, I think I just,
both
and I did
in that
that with my
entertainment.
first marriage. I did the full shebang, and it was beautiful. But this just felt like good for us.
Yes.
You know, everyone's different, but I cannot recommend eloping more highly. It was magical.
No, everyone that does it says it
we spent all the
best
money we would have
decision
spent on a wedding, on a trip.
A trip, yeah. You are an intimacy coordinator.
Yes.
Because I was in deadlock for 5 seconds.
Yes.
And watching it, your name came up.
Yeah.
As and I'm like, what?
Right.
What the hell is that, number one?
Yeah.
And how did you get into it?
Yeah, I got into it totally by accident.
And
it was not my
needed to be done?
intention. Yeah, it was not my intention to have this sort of side career. Shouldn't really call it that. It's more than that. It's a dual career, I suppose. But in a nutshell, the union, our wonderful union, brought this woman called Eora O'Brien out from the UK. She's one of the pioneers of this work. She pioneered this work in the UK. There's a woman in the States that pioneered it around the same time. And they're sort of the two sort of big wigs of this world. They brought her out to do some workshops and seminars. And like you, I went, well, as an intimacy coordinator. So I went along because I was like, this is interesting, and lost my tiny mind. Basically, the job is very much like a stunt or fight coordinator, but for intimate scenes. And intimate scenes range from, sex scenes and kissing and things like that, nudity. They also are childbirth, parent-child relationship, you know, when someone's snuggling their child in bed and reading them a story, stuff like that. And I just went, I've gone my whole career, 30 plus years, with no support, been put in very uncomfortable situations. Fortunately for me, nothing traumatic, but definitely uncomfortable, awkward, unpleasant, definitely. And I went, gosh, I really could have done with this support. So I, of course, then with my big mouth, go back to the union going, we must have this in Australia. We need people to get it trained. We need to support performers and crew through these scenes and blah, 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 blah. And I'm banging on about it. And then I was in Sydney filming a TV show and got a call saying, we've had some sponsorship to send 2 people to the UK and Eora thinks you'd be great. And I went, what? Anyway, I went, okay, stop banging on about it and gabbing about it. And
put your mouth where your money is.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Money where your mouth is.
And so I went to the UK and did my training over there with her. But I came back and I was the second person in the country to have become an intimacy coordinator. I was the only person in Victoria, and I went into MTC and I said, this is what I've just done, and I think, you know, you should implement this. And they immediately made it their protocol that if there's any shows with intimate content, so they were one of the first theatre companies on board, which was amazing.
So good.
And so I sort of hit the ground running, and I, you know, of course suddenly went, oh, I'm the only one at the moment who can do this work. So I felt like I had to say yes to everything and make sure everyone was getting the support. And I sort of, it was quite overwhelming.
Spread yourself a bit thin.
A little bit. And I wasn't, because it's all about, you know, supporting and taking care of people.
Yeah.
I have to also do that for myself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was fine. But I think now there are certain projects that I go, oh, I'm not the right person for this, or I don't feel like I can support this in the right way.
And you'd know that now.
Yeah, exactly.
Having done it for a while.
I learned it a little bit the hard way,
Yeah.
which is fine. But there's a bit of a misinformation around it. I think people think it's a policing role, and producers sometimes just want to tick the box and say we've had an intimacy coordinator, cool, moving on. But ultimately the role is like a fight coordinator. It's going through the script, assessing the script, having meetings with the director and the actors, choreographing things.
Making sure people are comfortable.
And that their boundaries are respected, regardless of why they have boundaries.
Yeah.
It's not relevant, doesn't matter, and it makes it a more streamlined process when we get to set or when we get to do the show, because it's repeatable, as opposed to back in the day when you just jump on top of each other and hope for the best, and then we just try again. Honestly, it was wild.
Oh God, absolutely.
Yeah. So there are some people who argue that, just let us do our own thing, or where's the spontaneity? And I'm like, well, there's no spontaneity in a fight scene.
No.
If you're punching someone in the face repeatedly, you're not actually doing it, and you need to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
And to be fair, we can have as much spontaneity as you like. We can do a full improvised sex scene if you want to, but we just, before we do it, need to clarify people's boundaries so we know what's okay for them and what's not, and it makes it so much more fun and easy and relaxed. And
be spontaneous in those boundaries.
You do have to go, this is a workplace, there's a level of professionalism and what's appropriate and what's not, and being really clear about your own personal body and self versus the characters, and making no assumptions about people. I've worked with all sorts of people that I'm surprised constantly, because people make assumptions about each other all the time. I might have worked with an actor who's done lots and lots of sex scenes in the past, so people assume they're fine to do them.
Yeah.
That's not always the case. Or someone who seems like they are more reserved probably won't do X, Y, Z. Not always the case.
Yeah.
Some people find holding hands and looking into someone's eyes way more confronting than doing a sex scene. So, kissing, I'm working with a lot of young people who have never kissed anyone before, let alone someone on screen. Come on, you guys. We have to make sure people are looked after. It's so important.
It just makes so much sense.
Yeah, I think so.
Did that all start because of Me Too, or was it before?
Look, it came out of it a little bit. I think that's a lot of people are going, it came out of off the back of Me Too, and that there is this world of, we're there to protect women. I'm like, ooh, hold up. I'm there to protect humans of all genders and identities.
Yes.
And interestingly, the more I work with men, the more I realise how little they have been supported. I often have a really interesting response from men where I'll have a meeting with them and say, how are you feeling about X, Y, Z? Are you okay to have your shirt off in this scene when you're in your swimming costume? And so often they'll say, no one's ever asked me that. Are you okay to be touched here?
Yeah.
No one's ever asked me that. I'm like, well, I'm asking you, is it okay? Is this okay for you? And they've never thought about it, let alone been asked it. And so people often have an emotional response because they suddenly go, haven't actually ever considered myself in that way. And it's I think the interesting part is giving people permission to say no.
Yeah.
And saying it and hearing it.
Yeah.
And respecting that. Like people hearing no. No is a full sentence.
Yes.
And not hearing no, you can't do that because of this. Doesn't matter why. It's irrelevant.
No.
Doesn't matter. It's nobody's business. That's your personal business. We're not here to share anything that you don't need to. It's not appropriate. That's not okay. You don't need to do that. You don't have to go there. I'm not here to dig up all your trauma.
No.
And sometimes a no is because you like it too much as well. Like I'm also like, guys, it's not just like, don't touch my ears because or my neck because of a trauma I had. Also, please don't touch my ears. I'm super ticklish. I don't want to get the giggles and it's not appropriate for this scene or whatever. You don't have to say that. We just say, no, you can't touch my ears. The end. Moving on.
Yeah.
So it can be extraordinary. I had a really extraordinary experience working on a film called Foe. Garth Davis, who directed Lion, was his film with Saoirse Ronan and Paul Mescal. So I got 3 whole days with the two of them. We went to Apollo Bay to create their 7-year marriage in this film physically, and we were also blocking their intimate scenes together, but also creating their physical relationship. Because, when you've been with someone for 7 years, there's a physicality you have with each other than two people who've just met. And Garth was extraordinary to work with in that capacity. He just was like, the 4 of us were in a room for 3 days just finding this couple. And it was really amazing. And he had me on set throughout the entire film for all of their stuff together. And they were both delightful human beings. Just
Were they?
so awesome.
That's so
honestly,
good.
I cannot speak more highly of them, and extraordinary
And
at what
so
they do.
talented.
I was just watching, going, you are schooling the shit out of me, and
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 30 plus years.
Because
Like,
I've only
holy
just
shit.
discovered him.
He's extraordinary, and so is she.
Didn't know who he was until the movie with that priest from Fleabag.
Oh, yeah.
We are all
of us strangers.
strangers. Yeah, he's
Normal
incredible.
people? You haven't seen Normal People? You've got to go and watch Normal People.
I know.
Holy
It's
shit,
on the
get
list.
ready,
It
get
is
ready.
it is on the list.
He's amazing.
Okay.
And he's an absolute beautiful person, and so is she, and so is Garth. And so we had this amazing experience.
And so are you.
But then
so the four of you, just brilliant.
But then some jobs I go on and I get a call on a Wednesday going, oh, we've got a sex scene on Friday. Can you come in? And I'm like, no, guys.
No, we need to have.
I need to have spoken to these actors like before you even cast it.
Yeah.
Like, give people a chance to decide if they want to do the job based on the subject matter and the scenes that they're required to do, and like, but it's challenging. It can be really awesome, and it can be challenging, like any job.
So new for
Yeah.
so many people in the industry.
Yeah.
They don't know how to navigate it. They wouldn't know that they've got to.
That's right.
Have spoken with you before it's cast, even like.
Yeah.
But that's going to change.
So there's an education.
The more we
that's
know,
happening.
the more we know.
Yeah, exactly. And there's an education that's constantly happening.
So are you doing a bit of both, or one more than the other?
Yeah, so year before last, I did so much intimacy coordinating, I couldn't do any acting, which is a wonderful problem to have, I realise. But I wasn't getting the balance right. And, I learnt that lesson, and I went, I need to get the balance right. And I said to Toby, my husband, I think I want to do some more acting and step back a little bit from intimacy coordinating. And then the following year, so last year, I only did acting work and no intimacy coordinating because I was busy doing acting work, which is, again, a wonderful problem to have. But I'm trying to just get the balance right. And there are several more extraordinary, wonderful intimacy coordinators out there now. So people who have trained, there's a lot more people that I can go, here, would you like to be on this project, or you're more appropriate, or you're better for this project than me. And in fact, a couple of them are way better than me at doing the job, in my opinion. I was like, you've got to be the right sort of person for it.
Well, yeah.
Because you've got to hold space, but you've also got to be able to read the room and step away and give people the space they need.
Yes.
It's a real sort of balance thing, and you need to know your way around a set like really well, because you're a one-person department. To turn up on a film set, if you don't know what you're doing or what's going on, you will just get lost in the mix. So you sort of need to know how it all operates pretty well. Yeah, there's more people doing it, so I feel like I can step. And I'm not putting the pressure on myself to say yes to everything.
Yeah.
And so selfishly now I'm at a place where I feel I've earned the right to be choosy and selective about the things that I do.
Yeah, good.
So I'm choosing the jobs that I want to work on as an intimacy coordinator and also as an actor, and trying to get the balance right. I know it's always a bit of a juggle, but
it'll be an ongoing.
Yeah, always. Like life is that, isn't it? But I just this year's I'm doing a bit of both. It's been great so far. Yeah.
And what's next up for you, like that we can see you in?
So I'm intimacy coordinating on a show that's shooting in Tasmania at the moment, and I just got to work with Liam Neeson.
Oh, you're in that
shit.
movie? Great. The lady that I meet in the park all the time, Rosie Trainer, she is also in that movie. She's the park ranger in that movie, and she said he was so lovely.
He's divine. I got a call saying, hey, they've offered you this role in this film. It's a scene in this movie. And I was like, a scene in a what? What's happening? And then I was like, what? No, what? One scene? No. And then my agent said, but the scene is with Liam Neeson, just the two of you. And I went,
yes.
What time do you want me to be there? Because I love Liam Neeson. What's not to love, right? I know. He's divine. Oh. So it's an action film, but there is one scene that is not action. And it's the scene with him and I play as a psychiatrist, and we're sitting down having a chat. I know, me, a psychiatrist. It's hysterical.
Love it. No, I love it.
But he was divine. So I just did that, my big one day on that movie. But I just did that. I'm in a kids show called The Spooky Files. So we're in season 2 of Spooky Files, which I just do little bits and pieces. I'm a mum. It's a lot of mumming. I do a lot of mumming these days.
Yeah.
Driving
at that age,
the storyline around. And I'm doing a play in Queensland. So I've just come back from Queensland from developing a play up there. I got to work on Boy Swallows Universe, the stage production of Boy Swallows Universe, which was 3 years ago.
I didn't know there was a stage production.
Yeah.
I just finished the show.
It was during COVID, and
Right.
so before the wonderful Netflix series, there was the stage production, and I was Frankie. So I got to play his mum,
wow.
which was interesting and challenging and wonderful to do
was
8
the
times a
kid
week.
in the...
No, it was a
different actor?
Yeah. No, it
the
was
kid
an
in the
adult actor.
in the show
young adult actor.
is
Yes, isn't he amazing? Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a big future.
Amazing. Yeah, oh yeah. So I did Boy Swallows Universe, and Trent Dalton and his wife, we just kind of fell in love with each other. I fell in love with I'm part of their family now, he said on radio the other day, which just made my heart explode, because I feel like this super protective sister of his now, the sister he probably never wanted. And his wife and I really get on really well. Fiona and I get on really well. So they are doing a version of his book, Love Stories, for the stage. And so
book.
I'm now playing his wife. So I played his mum, I'm playing his wife. So yes, so I'll be up doing that later in the year. So I've just been developing that up in Queensland
that's
with
in
them.
Queensland?
Yep.
But is
Busy.
it going to come down?
I hope so. We're
Yeah,
doing
so
Brisbane
am I.
Festival, and then hopefully it'll
Because
it'll
it would
travel.
have come down if the COVID had
So
allowed.
Boy Swallows Universe
Yeah.
was definitely going to tour,
Yeah.
but COVID, we just had all
Yeah,
those border
no
closures.
chance.
My husband never even saw it because we got separated for 3 months. We just couldn't get to each other. And I didn't get to see my
What
dog
a
for 3
shame.
months.
Oh, that's the worst part.
Listen, everyone judges me because I'm like, I didn't get to see my dog. And they're like, and your husband, and your husband. But
got to talk to
I
him
can do
every day.
FaceTime with him.
Yeah,
It's a very
can't do
different
that with your
FaceTiming
dog.
with the dog is not the same. Anyway,
not.
so yes, I've got a few bits and pieces coming up. But that beautiful boy in the Netflix version of Boy Swallows Universe, I heard this gorgeous story. I don't know him. I think he's amazing. But I heard a gorgeous story because everyone wants him now.
Yeah.
So he's been offered all these big roles in America. American agents are coming for, like, everyone's just like, we want him because he's amazing. Apparently, he has turned down several big jobs in America because they clash with cricket season. Isn't that the
Australia.
greatest thing you have ever heard?
He's a good Australian
I
boy.
love that boy,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
love that his
knows.
parents are saying no.
Yes.
Cricket's more, he loves
Yes.
cricket. Cricket's important to him, and we're
You
open
don't get
to
that
stuff.
childhood back.
You don't, and
So many parents need to understand that.
Yeah.
Because, your kid can be talked into a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's down to the parents saying, let's let you be.
yeah. But he's
a
like,
kid.
he loves
Make
acting,
the choices. Yeah,
but he
yeah.
loves cricket
Yeah.
more, probably. And I think his parents have gone, listen, we can do some more acting stuff, but it's got to work in with the cricket season.
Oh, I love
Isn't that great?
I love that
We need
so
more
much.
of that. We all need a bit more of that, of going, yeah, this is really great and I love it, but also I love this other thing.
We're out of time.
Oh, no.
I know.
What?
Come back in a year.
I have so much
Come
to
back
talk
in
about.
a year. I want my
Recording and
guests to
make
come
5
back in a
episodes.
year and do the what have you done in the last year.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
So this time next year.
It's date.